your book is about your book, New Kind of Diversity, which we've talked a lot about already, but there's something I want to go back to. It's a book about generational diversity, but I think the problem that it addresses are generational differences in the workplace, right? So you tell a story. I've heard you tell the story, and I've attended quite a few of your talks. I've heard you tell it at least twice, and I think it's very compelling. But if you can tell us, because I think it tells us a lot about, yes, the problem, but then also how people can creatively go about solving the issue of the generational differences. And that it's a story of a fast food hire and visible tattoos.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I do put this story in the book. So Antonio was in his 20s, and he was interviewed by Maggie, the hiring manager at this restaurant chain. And Maggie really liked Antonio. He had a little bit of experience in fast food restaurants. He seemed to be a good, excuse me, a good worker, good work ethic. And so she began to walk through the values and the policies of the restaurant before she made the official hire. He agreed to all of them. So Maggie hires Anthony. A few weeks later, they're both serving on the same shift, Maggie and Anthony. He's got the short sleeve shirt on, and she sees tattoos up and down his arm. Well, it's not criminal, except that at this restaurant chain, there was a policy that says no tattoos. And what made Maggie upset was not so much that he had tattoos, but he wasn't honest about it. He didn't say, "Oh, by the way, I should tell you, look at my right arm, and what should we do about this?" So Maggie was a little bit put off. She takes Antonio to her back office a little bit later, and very gently, I might add, begins to broach the subject and says, "Why didn't you talk to me about that?" Well, Antonio was offended because this tattoo is a part of his identity. And for many Gen Zers, the piercings, the tattoos, the haircuts, all part of their identity. Nothing wrong with that, except that I tend to believe the older you get, the more identity is derived from the inside, not the outside. But that's another webcast for another day. So they began to debate this issue, and they reach an impasse. They meet a second time, reach an impasse. Finally, on the third meeting, I am so proud of how Maggie negotiated this impasse. She said, "Antonio, we have a policy. You knew it from the beginning. You weren't honest with me. However, I really like you, and your team members like you, and your work ethic is great, and you serve the customers so well. I don't want to lose you. So what if you and I stood in front of our entire team the next time we have a staff meeting, and we both acknowledge and confess our flaws, our faults, and we see if we can, reconcile this whole thing?" Well, they did this. I mean, Maggie, the boss, even said, "Maybe I wasn't as clear as I needed to be. I thought she was, but maybe it wasn't as clear as I needed to be." He said, "I'm so sorry I wasn't honest. Please forgive me." And here's the agreement they made. He was going to stay, but wear long sleeve shirts underneath the uniform. She decided she was going to call corporate and say, "Is there any way we could change that policy in the future?" Got a standing ovation from the team. And I thought this is the brilliant type of leadership that's needed today with a new generation that does not think like somebody over 50, but yet we can't lose them and dig our heels in on stuff that probably isn't eternal. So anyway, I'll stop there, Will, but I just love it, love it, love it when I meet leaders that put relationships right up there next to results. We need both, but we can't give up relationships. That's just what makes the world go around, I think.